Okay, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I am getting everything set up on my end while letting everybody's audio turn on and get connected. Good morning to you, Stephen. Good morning, Michael. Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Market Watch Group weekly opening bell. My name is Scott. Of course, I will be your host. Good to see everybody. Disclaimers, as always, and agenda. Good morning to you, Perry. So, if you were there with us yesterday, you know that our market posture has stabilized, we would say, right? Stabilized. So, we've had two drops in a row, followed by this week some stability. So, yeah, we'll look at what do we see relative to that posture. So what is our posture? Um we're bullish, right? We're bullish. Um and those are the implications. That's what we're looking for. Is it possible to add three stocks to the watch list? We'll take a look. We tend to keep some specific criteria, liquidity, sector, what sector and if they're leading sectors, but we'll definitely take a look. Absolutely. I'll bring those up. And again, I keep a watch list with the group, but this is just like a baseline watch list where I I certainly recommend that if you keep some additional, everyone has favorites is what I would say. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Mindset for open trades. As I said, I would expect definitely that you would have open trades. That would be my expectation in the situation where we are now. So what are you doing? Well, based on the futures being up, yeah, we're looking for some confirmation and some continuation in the prospects of that momentum. Uh, Opening range, what does it mean? We're opening higher now. We do definitely have some other considerations, and that is that we have a potential VIX escalation setting up, and that's definitely a bit of a concern. So yeah, I'm certainly looking for bullishness, but the fact that we have a hedge signal potentially developing certainly means I'm gonna show some caution as well. And the trading plan section of the week. This week we are working on section 4. We're working on risk management. So yes. Okay. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Excuse me. Okay, let me pull up. And definitely give me your comments, your questions, your concerns. Um, Let me get this where I can see what's going on. All right. Opening futures positive. Dow's up 0.28. Or excuse me, the S&P's up 0.28, the Dow 0.29, the Nasdaq 0.44, the Russell 0.86. Remember that the Russell has been to some extent where we've had some concern of, momentum subsiding. And so we're certainly mindful of that and paying attention to that, watching that. Oil up a titch, but not much. So what's the news? What's going on? Tech's power higher again. Investors find reasons to be upbeat. Well, we're definitely feeling the resilience of the market. If you look, there's not really much news right now per se. If you look at today's economic calendar at 10 a.m., so not until another little bit, we get a minor report. The U.S. leading indicators, not really something that people are looking at. Tomorrow we have nothing. Tomorrow we have nothing scheduled. So there's really no economic news. We have earnings kicking into gear. We've talked about that, right? The earnings is underway, and we're starting to watch investors respond to that. But so far, nothing out of the ordinary. Market's up, and that's nice. Michael said, I agree. I said DeSantis is gone. Yes, the political landscape continues to shape up, be it what it may. Yeah. All right. That's really all we have. I mean, there's not much going on, but we can see that the futures are responding positively. So this is what the futures look like. If you look in here at the 5-minute chart, um, last night when they first opened, they surged pretty immediately, and then it just sort of subsided. And then now you can see that we're sort of starting to try to move again from there. So yeah, this has a bullishness about it. We're moving higher, which means we would expect that the VIX is already to some extent moving lower. So let's pull up at that and take a look and see. Ooh, okay. So this is interesting. This is interesting right now because you can see that uh even though we're set to open lower or higher on the market, the VIX is actually sitting in a slightly higher. Now this will adjust, and I would expect that the market's likely for this to adjust down. But the concern is that we have a higher low developing over here. So I'm gonna be watching very carefully for that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Let's take a look at a couple of the other themes that we're seeing. We are still very much looking at the Fed and what the Fed stance and policy is right now. And so yeah, right, as we look at what's going on, certainly we can see it's almost 100% zero expectation that the rates will change in January. We've known that the entire time. We look at March, and the odds have now shifted to be slightly in favor of not changing in March either. Right? We had seen earlier where there was the prospects of a shift, and now as we look here, we're seeing not by a ton, but we call that 1.25 to 1 odds that the Fed doesn't cut in March. So maybe. It's a maybe, less than 50-50 maybe. Then we look at May, and you can see in May, the most significant is we get that first quarter of a point, better than 3-1 odds. Actually, I would say overall 5-1 that we get a cut with a greater probability that it's a quarter point, not a half of a point. But a half a point's on the table, right? A half a point is definitely on a table in that regard. Okay. So that's the Fed. Let's go see as we get closer. Yeah, the futures are holding on. What's definitely going to be interesting, though, you can see the futures are really showing, quite a bit of strength. But what's going to be interesting is when it opens, does it give it back quickly? Does it hold on? Or do we surge? I think that if we can stay bullish today and end up a 0.5% or higher, 0.5% up or higher, if that's what we end up seeing, then I believe the VIX will shed some more and possibly get down to that same low point. Not necessarily a lower low, but maybe a same low. Okay. Yeah, it is interesting. So let's see who's on the docket. For the rest of the week. Remember that the news, the big news that we're looking for is really going to be more GDP on Thursday. Initially, the preliminary GDP, we're expecting it to come down from where it was. Never really had expectations of it at 5%, but certainly hoping that it keeps a little bit more. We've got jobless claims coming out, and then we also have some durable good orders and retail inventories. Friday's the big news, right? Friday's the big news. Friday is PCE. PCE is one of the Fed's primary indices or primary indicators to monitor inflation. We also have income and spending. So that information certainly is going to be important to us. And getting a sense of what the Fed is looking to do. All right, so we are on the cusp. Markets opening here in just a minute. Questions, comments, concerns. Let me know. I'm going to pull up those stocks asked for. Let's just take a quick peek as we wait for things to open. AAOI, Applied Optoelectron. Okay. Interesting. You can see there was a high-flying stock for a while there, but then moved into where it's in more of a consolidative scenario. Applied Optoelectron. What do we know about them? AAOI. Information technology. So I would say in the communication services, it seems. Okay. They trade options. It looks like the options are pretty expensive if you're an options trader. Here's my concern. We're well off the highs, right? We are 24 to 16, 33% off the highs. The sellers right now are in control. What I would want to see is I would want to see some sort of a. Now it does look like it's finding a bottom as far as stochastics and maybe finding a support level. The concern is that it only gets a little bit of a move and then drops again if the market's deciding this thing's better served down here. I always, when I have a situation, you can see this thing has consolidated. Um, I would always like to see a higher low. It's just if I see it come up here, then come back, and then hit the 50 and bounce back off of it. That's the kind of thing that I'm looking for. That will entice me to want to put something on my list and trade it. I did IRWD. Then we'll go look at the, if I can get my type keyboard to type. There we go. Ironwood Pharma. So this looks like a biotech. Yeah, that looks okay. It's got an uptrend. It just recently. Now remember that we had just said some of our newly added healthcare stocks were looking a little bit more prosperous. We added some. I would say this looks in that same vein. Medical, or excuse me, in the medical, the healthcare services. I keep saying medical healthcare. We've seen increased institutional money flow. So yeah, I like this. And what was the last one? AXGN. That seems like maybe another biotech just based on the symbol. Axogen. And you can see very similar. So there you're probably looking at two very similar stocks. So it's a matter of, which, how do you diversify amongst a group? I would say add one to a list, but be careful with more than that. Okay, let's take a look at our opening range. Here's the SPY now open, up 0.43. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of follow through, at least initially. So that's always nice to see when we get a little bit of follow through. Very welcome. Happy to help. So there it is, right? We opened higher. We're moving a little bit higher still. So now what is the VIX doing in response? This is where I'm increasingly concerned. Nope, I don't want 1 month. I want 6 months. We are at a higher high. The VIX, it's not even at Friday's low. So whatever the institutions are doing with their hedging, right? Whatever they're doing, there is, they're holding on to some hedging that they've done. They're not shedding them, they're holding them. And so, yeah, that's our concern, right? That's our concern is that's what's happening right now. Yeah. So in looking forward to, I keep saying, oh, there'd be a hedge. Okay, so let's talk about the hedge. Right now, I would be thinking 5 weeks out, but I don't have a full 5 weeks. So I'm not going to say that the 26th, I'm going to say that I have the 26th, and then the second would be week 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll probably go out to March 1st. March 1st. Let me pull this up and show you what this hedge would look like. So here is SPY, and I'm going out to March 1st. You can see that's these options here. That's 39 days. If I went to February 23rd, it's only 32, so that's less than 5 weeks. So here I'm going a little bit longer than 5 weeks, a little bit longer. And then I'm going to go 5% out of the money. Right now we are on the SPY. We'll call it 485. 485, 484.9. So 485, right? 485, and I'm going to 0.95, 460.75. because I'm that close to actually 460. Normally I would just say, oh, okay, 461 strike, but I'm going to go 460. Why? Because I think that it's always easier to trade around the round numbers, the strike prices around the round numbers, right? So that's a very big reason why. So let's go back in there. And 460 strike price. I just want to give you a sense of the cost of what this would be. $1.52. Okay, so I like it around 120 to 150. It's at 152. It's even now holding a little bit more. So Bob, you said that you were down a little on your hedge. Is that still the case, or has that come back a little? I'm curious because I know you were holding a little bit of hedge. Um, so okay, that's what I would be looking at. You don't need much, you know, couple of contracts, $300. That's a pretty decent hedge. It gives you some good potential to offset if you're giving back because the market starts to deteriorate. I think the market looks pretty strong, but we know that at any given time, the potential for corrections or consolidations exists. And if we're in a place where we think that there is a higher probability that one comes, we prepare ourselves until we no longer need it. Okay. All right, let's get to the watch list now. Let's see how things are looking. We're not quite to the second candle, so we'll wait just a minute before checking in on the future or on the opening range again. Okay, let's go A for Agilent. So we said Agilent was tradable. Yes, really starting back on Thursday, it engulfed and triggered a right at the end of the day. Next day confirmed today. I mean, you're not late. I would think it's probably giving some kind of a Heiken Ashi. You can see it's giving you some momentum signals. So yeah, there we go. I like it. I think that it's a viable trade. You can see that we have windows. You don't have to be exactly in a trade. Would it have been better to be in on Thursday? Sure. Not by that much, to be fair. Right. So this looks definitely still viable. Okay. Get to the list here. Apple. Look at Apple continuing to run. So we said that there's not much we can do with Apple. We're spectators, right? It just sort of came barreling out, but we're fans. Yeah. Steven said, go Apple, go. We're fans. Why are we fans? Because the stronger Apple is, the stronger the tech market as a whole and the market as a whole. This is a big piece of it's 11% of the Nasdaq and 6% of the S&P. Same thing with Microsoft. At any given time, we're at least fans, right? We're at least fans. Okay. AIG. AIG gave a signal. We said also on Thursday. Friday, I believe you were too late. If you didn't catch this first engulfing when it first turned on we would rather be on time, right? We would rather be on time than late. Can we be late? I mean, certainly we are always looking to answer the question is, what if I entered a little bit behind? But in this situation, I think that you were on Thursday. Friday was just, if you didn't get in early Friday, it made a good chunk of the move. And by this point today, I would have to say, yeah, I would be feeling too late. Okay, AMD. AMD looks like it's pulling back a little bit. That was not one. I mean, look, I think most of us were probably caught watching. I think maybe one or two had a piece of this, but probably already took it. Amgen, same thing. Signal, a little bit of an anticipatory signal. So I wouldn't necessarily expect that on Thursday. Definitely turned Friday today, showing a little bit more of the same. That's healthcare, right? That's healthcare. We're seeing some strength in that group and in that area with money continuing to flow in. Amazon. Amazon was one that had turned, but you can see here there. So we had a batch. We had a batch of stocks that had kind of like this. So Amazon, Google, Meta, and then they turned, and it's like, was that a signal? Was it not? This one here, it's already kind of stalling at the previous level. You've got earnings coming up. So I don't know. If you weren't already in this one, I don't see cause to try to take it now, right? You either caught it as it broke that flag, or you're probably just spectating on this one. AXP was definitely, we said that was viable, looked great on Friday. Today, it's moving. You're behind it. If you were to take it, I would definitely move into a Heiken Ashi. This would be, yeah, you can see that here on Friday we had more of a transition, but it was the first white candle. And then here we had a confirmation with a momentum candle today. And that's where we are now, right? Is we're seeing that now. So I would say viable. I wouldn't put the stop too far down, but certainly this was a better trade when we talked about it being a signal on Friday, right? Okay. Let me keep going into the Heiken SE. Let me switch back out. Boeing, nothing in Boeing for us right now, right? There's nothing really there for us. We're watching it. It's an interesting situation going on, but there's really nothing that I'm looking to trade. BK looks pretty strong. That was one that we said could be breaking its flag. Hard to trade when it's sitting up this high and this far away from its moving average, right? That can be difficult. BLDR, industrials. Okay, so industrials is keep continuing to move. BLK. BLK is just kind of stalling a little bit. That was one of our financials we looked at. BX. We talked about that one bouncing, but I didn't like how far it had fallen. So I would like to see this one get a little bit more buying validation before that I'm convinced that the buyers are ready to come back in. Okay. Citigroup. Yes. We had talked about this one. That's confirming. Citi looks good. If you're looking for something financial, Citi looks good. Love it. Press says he took it anticipatory on Friday. Spiked up, already out, made a 55 percenter. I would love to see you start, if you weren't in multiples, taking multiples of contracts and closing some and letting some run. Of course, that's a favorite strategy of mine. But yes, I absolutely like everything you did with that. Looks good. Definitely one we talked about. He said I liked my game too much. Fair enough. Caterpillar, not yet. Right? That's a not yet. There's Capital One, very similar to AXP. Oil looks well down. Nothing re-emerging there yet. Costco just keeps on pushing higher. CrowdStrike, that was one we said could also be in that same vein of, is that a flag? Did it break? That's a tough one to trade, but these are movers right now, right? This is where there's some momentum. I would say at this point, yeah, like if you were willing to take the chance, you were willing to do it Friday. At this point today, especially as you see a red candle, I would say there's nothing really there for us now. Okay. CSX, Railroad, nothing yet. Delta, nothing yet. Home builders, home builders look okay. You can just see that we're really close to earnings, and there's just really not much I think we can do with it right now. So just kind of holding off there. Here's the Dow, looks strong. Elanco Health, this is an animal health, but this is one that I added and I'm thinking I like. You can see it's holding. The stochastic is starting to turn. I don't know. Maybe it's enough. Maybe I'd want to see a little bit more price. If it looks like this, maybe I'd want to catch the second day. Maybe I'd go ahead and take it and put a stop just underneath there, and see what this can do. Fastenal. This was a an acceleration after earnings. At this point, just watching to see if this thing comes back down, and maybe we look to catch it here, and maybe this looks to help lead industrials back into a top position. We would love to see, right? We dropped our score, if you remember. If you weren't there, we dropped our sector rotation a quarter of a point because of a little bit of concern we have with industrials and with uh, consumer discretionary. They haven't shown weakness. They've just really eased up, right? They've eased up, and there's not much that we can do with them having pulled out of the strength position that they've been in. Okay. GE. So yeah, right. We talked about Thursday and Friday, where a lot of times where our trading windows existed, and I would expect to be in these. If we're in late, great. We may only get a few days of movement. I hope we get 2 or 3 days, and I hope the VIX, sheds off its remaining volatility. We'll look at that here in just a minute. But right now, yeah, you can see a lot of things are bouncing. Gold's kind of flat. Google, that was it. You had to catch this Thursday break of the flag. Otherwise, it's already moving, and there's not much you can do with that. Goldman gave a signal on Friday. It's continuing to move today. Home Depot just kind of still meandering around, right? It's meandering around in this resistance area. So not much to do with that right now. IBM. Woo, my goodness. That thing just keeps on trucking. So you could see it had just a little bit of crisis of confidence right through here and then just shot up. Definitely concerned that we're, potentially facing a buy the rumor, sell the news earnings scenario where it's really rallying high prior to the earnings. And so the expectations that are getting built in Um, the expectation that's getting built in is uh, maybe hard to keep when the information actually comes out. Okay, that's what drives me nuts. AAOI is almost yeah, right, and so AAOI. Um, I don't know though. I mean, this is keep in mind that's coming off of like a 50-day low. Um, where when we catch it, we want to catch these types of moves, right? I know this thing can give $4 moves when if I catch it at the right time. And so, those bigger moves are the ones that I'm really after. Some of those intraday, like, oh, it's moved, it's up 80 cents. Yeah, but it had just fallen from 22 to 16. So it's like, what am I potentially going to get on the wrong side of? What is it potentially going to give me? When I'm convinced that I've got buyers on my side, I think I can get $4 or $5 moves, not dollar moves. And that's where we want to try to find that bigger money. All right. Good call out though. Where were we? JP, let's see. Intel. No. ICE. ICE is kind of stalled out a little bit here. Intel struggling to hold on to its new highs. IWM, okay. We like to see go small caps too, right? We like to see the small caps moving as well. And so, that's sometimes you just find yourself watching, but you watch as a fan where you think, yeah, this is super helpful. If the small caps can stay in favor, that's super helpful for the market as a whole. So, okay, what else? Let's keep looking. JP Morgan. Well, something there as well, like Citi, Meta. It had to be Thursday, breaking out of the flag. And I would be thinking, oh man, this thing's starting to run out of steam. Microsoft starting to run out of steam a little bit. Netflix hasn't really started to move yet. Okay. Nvidia. Nvidia. Oh, look at that racehorse. Right. Look at that racehorse go. Very, very strong. Just continues to show that strength. Picard. And again, semiconductors are very strong. And so software and semiconductors, that's just moving the tech the right way for us. If you look here, it was the same low. It kind of failed and then it held, and then you could have caught the turn, but we were a little bit more reluctant on these financials, or excuse me, industrials. PNC signal was on Friday, still showing a little bit of strength today. The Q's still advancing, right? Still advancing, but a little bit of concern. Okay, what else? RCL slowing down a little bit. RX. This was one that we were looking at. If you were waiting, this is what we are waiting for. Bouncing off the 50. You can see the stochastics is turning. I should be able to get, I don't think I'd have to put my stop all the way down here, but I'm looking for this thing to at least get back to 14. So that's 3.5 to the upside. Maybe $1 to the downside with a stop below today's low around 950. That gets you about a 3.5 to 1 right there. Okay. SMCI. SMCI touched 485 today and is already back to 435. Nothing you can do but spectate this. Okay. Snap. It's kind of, at this point, my concern is it's really close to this, and it seems to be more of a channeling stock now. SPY is bullish and holding on. Let's go look at the range now that we have the full opening range. Okay. That's promising for us right there, right? That's promising for us. We like to see that that holding on to the strength. But again, I have to caution, like there are a couple of things that are showing some potential, and we're hoping that this market can push through. We're going to see the VIX here in just a minute, even though the market's up 0.5%. Here's UNP. We said that would have been the railroad we would think about, but a little bit reluctant with industrials. Even though the market's up 50%, 0.5%, the VIX is not down at all. In fact, the VIX is up 2%. So in that regard, we're definitely seeing some residual fear, some institutional residual fear that's hanging on. And overall, I would say, that there we have to be concerned. We have to be cautious with it. I would be press took some profits early. I would be thinking at least taking some early to see if the rest can run another couple of days. Great. If the VIX does, confirm into a head signal, then I'm going to put that trade on pretty immediately here. When would that come? As of right now, if it looked like this is not a signal yet. But what would basically happen is if tomorrow we looked like this, where we closed above these bodies, that would have me thinking we've now formally turned, and now that is a higher low. Real quickly, let's look at the rest of ours. We've got Walmart pulling back a little bit. Biotech's turning. So if you like biotech, if you like healthcare, yeah, there seems to be a bit of momentum in those areas. Basic materials, lackluster under the 50. Communication services, the strength is already there. It's already moved quite a bit. Energy, nothing there. Financials already made. I mean, that we should have already been in this back on Thursday and Fridays when our signals came. Industrials, same thing, even though we were a little more reluctant on these. Technology looks great, but right now we're kind of on day 3 for this momentum. So that's what I think we need to be careful about this week. Okay. This week we're working on section 4. Don't forget risk management. The videos are in the email. There's links to risk management videos in the email, or you can just go into the content library. So we're working on risk management. Let me bring that up here. Where are you? Defining all these various elements of your risk management plan, making sure that everything is in place. Tomorrow evening, we have our next Trading Foundations class. I'm not sure the topic. I believe yeah, you know what? I'm not sure. Join us tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. for a mystery topic in the Trading Foundations class. I hope you can make it. Also, the Discord. We will be meeting as a group on Thursday, first hour of the market. And I will be testing the first iteration of the alerts. I'm going to look to put out an alert or two this week. Nothing's going to be forced. So I'm only going to, it may actually, the alert signal may actually be the hedge signal at this point. So we'll see. Okay. It's good to see everybody. Jump onto Discord today if you're talking about trades, and let's have some conversations. I'll be around. So feel free to jump in there and participate. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow evening. As always, happy trading.